There is a war happening in your backyard right now. It is a silent war, fought on the undersides of leaves and deep within the root zones of your soil. On one side, you have the invaders, the aphids sucking the life out of your kale, the hornworms decimating your tomatoes, and the nematodes gnawing on the roots of your squash. On the other side, you have, well, usually, you just have a bottle of spray. For the last 100 years, we have been taught that the only way to win this war is with chemical weapons. We see a bug, we panic, and we spray. We nuke the garden. And in the process, we kill the good guys, the ladybugs, the lacewings, the predatory wasps, along with the bad guys. We create a vacuum, and do you know what fills a vacuum? The pests come back, and this time, they have no predators to stop them. This is the cycle of dependency that the chemical industry loves, but nature has a different way. Nature never plants a monoculture. You never walk into a forest and see 500 acres of just broccoli growing in perfect rows with bare dirt in between. That doesn't exist. Nature plants in guilds. Nature plants in chaos. Nature plants in polycultures. In a polyculture, plants communicate. They defend each other. Some plants act as shields, masking the scent of their vulnerable neighbors. Some act as traps, sacrificing themselves to save the main crop. And some act as beacons, sending out chemical signals that call in the Air Force the predatory insects that eat the pests alive. Today, we are going to learn how to build that biological shield. We are going to explore the top 10 companion plants that act as the immune system of your garden. We aren't just going to list them. We are going to dive into the chemistry of why they work. We are going to talk about limonene, about sulfur compounds, about volatile oils, and about root exudates. Number 3 is the bodyguard for your tomatoes. Number 7 attracts a wasp that is a microscopic killing machine. And number 10 is a flower that produces the active ingredient for the world's most common organic pesticide. Put down the spray bottle. It's time to plant a fortress. Let's get into the list. Number 1. The Golden Guardian, French marigolds. If you visit an old English cottage garden or a traditional French potager, you will always see bright orange and yellow flowers bordering the vegetable beds. These aren't just for decoration. These are marigolds, specifically the genus Tagetes. But we need to be precise here. We aren't talking about the giant African marigolds that grow 3 feet tall. We are talking about Tagetes patula, the French marigold. The power of the French marigold lies in its scent. Brush against it, and you smell that pungent, musky, slightly citrusy odor. That scent comes from a chemical called limonene. To a human, it smells like a garden. To a pest, specifically a flying insect like a whitefly or a cabbage moth, it smells like danger. Or rather, it smells like nothing. It acts as a radar jammer. Most pests find their food by smell. A cabbage moth is looking for the specific mustard oil scent of a cabbage or a broccoli plant. When you plant marigolds densely around your brassicas, the strong limonene cloud masks the scent of the cabbage. The moth flies right past, unable to locate the target. It is olfactory camouflage. But the real magic of the French marigold happens underground. This is where science gets incredible. The roots of the French marigold secrete a chemical called alpha-terthionyl. This chemical is phototoxic, meaning it becomes toxic when exposed to light. But underground, it acts as a suppressant against root knot nematodes. Nematodes are microscopic worms that bore into the roots of tomatoes, peppers, and squash, causing knots that block water uptake. The plant slowly wilts and dies, and you never know why. But if you plant French marigolds, specifically the variety Nemagon or ground control, the roots release this chemical fog that inhibits the nematode eggs from hatching. It effectively sanitizes the soil. To make this work, you can't just plant one marigold in the corner. You need a wall. Plant them every 8 to 10 inches around the perimeter of your beds. And at the end of the season, chop the marigolds up and till them into the soil. As they decompose, they release even more of that anti-nematode gas. It is a biofumigant. Number 2. The sacrificial lamb, nasturtiums. This is my absolute favorite companion plant because it serves so many functions. Nasturtiums tropaeolum majus are beautiful, trailing vines with lily pad leaves and bright trumpet-shaped flowers. They are entirely edible, The leaves taste like peppery arugula, and the flowers are sweet. But in the pest war, nasturtiums play the role of the trap crop. A trap crop is a plant you grow specifically to be eaten. You want the pests to attack it. Nasturtiums produce a specific mustard oil chemical that is irresistible to aphids, black flies, and green flies. If you plant nasturtiums near your beans, your cucumbers, or your roses, the aphids will smell the nasturtiums and swarm them. They prefer the peppery sap of the nasturtium over almost anything else. You will walk out to your garden and see the stems of your nasturtiums covered in black aphids. This is a good thing. It means they aren't on your beans. The nasturtium is taking the bullet. Once the plant is fully infested, you have two choices. You can pull the plant out, bag it, and throw it away, removing thousands of pests from your garden in one go. Or you can wait. Because usually, where there is a massive aphid colony, the predators arrive next. Ladybugs and lacewings will find the nasturtium buffet and breed there, increasing your beneficial insect population. But nasturtiums do something else too. They confuse the squash bug and the cucumber beetle. These beetles are visual hunters. They look for the specific shape and yellow flower of a squash plant. Because nasturtiums grow in a sprawling, chaotic vine with yellow-orange flowers, they visually disrupt the search pattern of the beetle. It's camouflage through chaos. Plant them at the corners of your raised beds, or let them trail along the ground as a living mulch under your zucchini. Just be warned, they reseed aggressively. If you plant them once, you will have them forever. Number 3. The tomato's soulmate, basil. There is a culinary rule: what grows together, goes together. In Italian cooking, basil and tomatoes are inseparable. In the garden, the same rule applies. Basil, Ocimum basilicum, is the ultimate companion for tomatoes. This pairing is legendary, and science backs it up. The primary pest of the tomato is the tomato hornworm, a giant green caterpillar that can strip a plant bare in one night, and the tomato fruit worm. The hornworm moth is looking for the scent of solanaceae, nightshades. Basil produces potent volatile oils, eugenol, linalool, and citronellol. These oils create a vapor barrier around the tomato plant. Studies have shown that interplanting basil with tomatoes reduces the egg-laying of armyworms and hornworms significantly. The moth simply gets confused. The intense clovenese scent of the basil overrides the tomato scent. But there is a secondary benefit that is often debated but widely reported by gardeners: flavor enhancement. Many growers swear that tomatoes grown with basil taste better. While the science on this is tricky, it is believed that the root exudates of the basil may influence the uptake of minerals by the tomato, or perhaps the stress signaling between the plants triggers the tomato to produce more defensive compounds, which are often flavor compounds. To do this right, you need to interplant. Don't put the basil in a separate pot. Plant the basil right at the base of the tomato. The tomato grows tall and provides shade during the hottest part of the day, which stops the basil from bolting, going to seed too early. The basil covers the soil, keeping the tomato roots cool and moist. It is a symbiotic relationship. Number 4. The pollinator magnet, borage. Borage, Borago officinalis, is also known as starflower. It has fuzzy leaves and incredible electric blue, star-shaped flowers that taste like cucumber. Borage is famous for one thing: it refills its nectar incredibly fast. Most flowers take hours to refill their nectar cup after a bee visits. Borage refills in minutes. This makes it a high-value refueling station for pollinators. If you plant borage, you will have bees, guaranteed. Bumblebees, specifically, love the frequency of the borage flower. Why is this pest control? Because by bringing in a massive density of pollinators, you ensure that every single flower on your squash, cucumbers, and melons gets pollinated. But more importantly, borage attracts predatory insects, specifically tiny parasitic wasps and hoverflies. Hoverflies look like little sweat bees. They don't sting. Their larvae look like tiny green slugs, and those larvae are voracious predators of aphids. One hoverfly larva can eat hundreds of aphids a week. By planting borage, you bring in the mothers, the flies, to drink the nectar, and they lay their eggs on your nearby crops, unleashing an army of aphid eaters. Borage is also the specific enemy of the tomato hornworm. While we don't know the exact chemical mechanism, old-time farmers have always planted borage near tomatoes to deter the worm. It is believed the specific alkaloids in borage repel the mother moth. A warning: borage is large. It gets 3 feet wide and 3 feet tall. It can flop over and smother small carrots. Give it space. Plant it on the edge of the garden, not the middle, and it self-sows. You will find baby borage plants everywhere next spring. But since they are easy to pull and make great mulch, they are rich in potassium and calcium. This is a bonus, not a problem. Number 5. The masking agent: alliums, onions, garlic, leeks, chives. The allium family is the pungent workhorse of the companion planting world. If you cut an onion, you cry. That reaction is caused by sulfur compounds breaking down into sulfenic acid. That same sulfur punch is a weapon in the garden. The classic pairing here is carrots and onions, or leeks. The carrot rust fly is a devastating pest. It is a tiny fly that smells the scent of carrots from up to a mile away. It flies in, lays eggs in the soil, and the maggots eat your carrots, turning them into rusty, rot-filled mush. But the carrot rust fly is easily confused. If you plant a row of onions, then a row of carrots, then a row of leeks, the strong sulfur scent of the alliums completely overpowers the sweet, earthy scent of the carrots. The fly cannot find the landing strip. Similarly, alliums are excellent protectors of the brassica family: cabbage, broccoli, kale. They deter the cabbage looper and the cabbage worm. Also, aphids generally hate the smell of chives. Planting garlic chives around the base of your rose bushes is a classic Victorian trick to keep roses aphid-free. The key with alliums is density. One onion won't do it. You need a barrier. I like to plant a perimeter of garlic around my strawberry bed. It deters slugs, who hate the sulfur, and masks the scent of the sweet fruit from curious beetles. Number 6. The aggressive deterrent: mint. We have to talk about mint, mentha, peppermint, spearmint, apple mint. Mint contains menthol. Menthol is a potent neurotoxin for many insects. Insects smell through their antennae and their feet. When they land on mint, the menthol overloads their sensory receptors. It's like walking into a room filled with tear gas. Mint is exceptionally good at repelling ants. If you have an aphid problem, you usually have an ant problem. Ants farm aphids. They protect them from predators so they can harvest their sugary honeydew. If you get rid of the ants, the ladybugs can come in and eat the aphids. Planting mint around the foundation of your house or the edge of your garden beds creates an invisible no-cross line for ant colonies. Mint also repels the white cabbage moth and flea beetles, those tiny black jumping beetles that put shotgun holes in your arugula. But, and this is the biggest but, in gardening, mint is a thug. It spreads by underground runners called rhizomes. If you plant mint directly in your garden bed, within 2 years, it will be the only thing in your garden bed. It will strangle your vegetables. You must plant mint in a container, pot it up, and then sink the pot into the ground, leaving the rim 2 inches above the soil surface. This contains the roots, but gives you the companion benefits. Or, just place pots of mint strategically around your broccoli plants. Number 7. The wasp whisperer: dill. Dill Anathum graveolens is an umbellifer. It produces a flower head that looks like an umbrella made of tiny yellow stars. This flower shape is critical. Many beneficial insects, specifically parasitic wasps, braconid wasps, and tachinid flies, have very short mouthparts. They cannot drink nectar from a deep flower like a lily. They need a flat landing pad with shallow nectar cups. Dill provides exactly that. Why do you want braconid wasps? Because they are the stuff of nightmares for pests. The tiny female wasp finds a tomato hornworm or a cabbage worm. She lands on it and injects her eggs inside the living caterpillar. The eggs hatch, and the larvae eat the caterpillar from the inside out, avoiding the vital organs to keep it alive as fresh meat. Eventually, they spin white cocoons on the back of the caterpillar. If you ever see a hornworm covered in white tic-tac-looking things, do not kill it. That is a walking zombie nursery that will hatch hundreds more beneficial wasps. Dill attracts these wasps in droves. However, there is a catch. Dill acts as a host plant for the black swallowtail butterfly. You will likely see beautiful, striped caterpillars eating your dill. This is the gardener's dilemma. Do you kill the caterpillar to save the dill? No. You plant enough dill for both of you. The swallowtail is a pollinator. Let them eat a little dill. The wasps they attract will save your tomatoes and kale. Plant dill early in the season, as it likes cool weather. Once it gets hot, it bolts and flowers, which is exactly what we want for the wasps. Number 8. The natural insecticide. Chrysanthemums, pyrethrum. You have likely seen pyrethrin listed as an ingredient in organic bug sprays. It is a potent nerve toxin that knocks down insects on contact. Where does it come from? It comes from the painted daisy, specifically Tanacetum cinerariifolium, or certain varieties of chrysanthemums. Mums contain pyrethrins naturally in their flowers and leaves. This makes them highly resistant to pests. By planting them, you are planting a repellent zone. They are particularly effective against roaches, ants, Japanese beetles, tick, and silverfish. However, a warning: the mums you buy at the grocery store in the fall, the decorative, round, poofy ones, have been bred for beauty, not for chemical potency. They might not have high levels of pyrethrin. You want to look for heirloom varieties or specific Dalmatian pellitory seeds if you want the full insect-killing effect. Plant these as a border crop. They are perennial in many zones and will come back year after year. Just be careful if you have cats, as the leaves can be toxic if eaten in large quantities. Number 9. The woody shield, rosemary and sage. We talked about basil, a soft herb, but the woody Mediterranean herbs rosemary and sage are the heavy artillery. These plants have tough, leathery leaves filled with camphor and pinene. They are incredibly strong-smelling. Sage is the specific enemy of the cabbage moth and the carrot rust fly. There is an old gardening adage: sage saves the cabbage. If you plant sage next to your broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, you will see significantly less damage. The moth hates the camphor smell. Rosemary is a deterrent for the bean beetle and the carrot fly. But rosemary has another superpower. It lives forever. In warmer zones, zone 7 and up, it is an evergreen shrub. This means it provides pest protection year-round. It also blooms very early in the spring, providing food for the first bees waking up from hibernation. Because these are woody perennials, you don't want to plant them in the middle of your annual beds where you till or dig every year. Plant them at the head of the bed. Put a rosemary bush at the north end of your garden row. It acts as a windbreak, a scent barrier, and an anchor for your garden design. Number 10. The sticky trap, Calendula, pot marigold. Do not confuse this with the French marigold tagetes we talked about at number 1. This is Calendula officinalis. It has yellow or orange daisy-like flowers and leaves that feel slightly sticky or resinous to the touch. That stickiness is a weapon. Calendula attracts pests. It is a trap crop for whiteflies, thrips, and aphids. The pests are drawn to the bright yellow color. Yellow is the most attractive color to insects, which is why sticky traps are yellow. They land on the calendula, and the resinous sap gums up their mouthparts and feet. But calendula has a double life. While it traps the bad guys, it feeds the good guys. It is a major nectar source for syrphid flies and lacewings. And, if that wasn't enough, calendula is medicinal for humans. The petals are antifungal and skin healing. It's the main ingredient in most diaper rash creams. So, you can harvest the clean flowers for a healing salve and leave the sticky stems to trap the whiteflies. Calendula is cool-hardy. It will keep blooming long after the first frost, providing protection late into the autumn when other companion plants have died back. The execution strategy. How to design the shield. So, you have the list, you have the ammunition. Now, how do you deploy it? Most people make the mistake of planting a companion garden separate from their vegetable garden. They put the flowers in one bed and the food in another. This does not work. The sphere of influence of these plants is small, usually only a few feet. You need to integrate. You need to become a guild designer. Here is a simple layout strategy to get you started. The fortress wall. Ring the entire perimeter of your garden with alliums, garlic, onions, and French marigolds. This stops the ground troops, the nematodes, the slugs, and the rabbits. The corners. In the corners of your raised beds, plant the nasturtiums and borage. These are big, sprawling plants. Putting them in the corners lets them spill over the side without smothering your crops. They act as the anchors, pulling in pollinators and trapping aphids. The interplanting. Inside the beds, plant your vegetables. But every 2 to 3 feet, insert a basil, a dill, or a calendula. Don't plant 10 tomato plants in a row. Plant tomato, basil, basil. Break up the monoculture. The pot patrol. Keep mint and rosemary in movable pots. If you see cabbage moths hovering over your kale, move the mint pots right next to the kale. If you see bean beetles, drag the rosemary over. Use them as mobile response units. Conclusion. The philosophy of the polyculture. When you start gardening this way, something changes. You stop looking at bugs with fear. You stop reaching for the spray bottle. You walk out in the morning and you see aphids on your nasturtiums, and instead of panic, you feel relief. You know the system is working. You see a wasp hovering over your dill, and you know it's hunting for you. You realize that your garden is not a factory. It is an ecosystem. Chemical pesticides act like a nuclear bomb. They wipe out everything, creating a sterile wasteland that is weak and dependent on more chemicals. Companion planting acts like a probiotic. It adds life to fight life. It builds a complex, resilient web of biological interactions that gets stronger every single year. It takes a little more planning. It takes a little more patience. But the result is a garden that takes care of itself. A garden that smells better, looks beautiful, and feeds you clean, chemical-free food. So, this season, don't just plant vegetables. Plant a community. Plant allies. Plant a shield. If you found value in this deep dive, if you are ready to toss the chemicals and embrace the chaos of the polyculture, please hit that like button. It helps us find other gardeners who are ready to work with nature, not against her. And tell me in the comments, which of these companions have you tried? Do you have a secret pairing like radishes and spinach that I missed? I want to learn from you too. Subscribe for more guides on permaculture and organic growing, and I will see you in the garden. Happy planting!